So in Japanese media, there are many peacock words, phrases that praise a particular work, often imported and praise it as if it was a masterpiece, history-changing, opus magnum, which they aren't. So this is really interesting. I mean, in Japan, there are no such a thing as a criticism, really, and of course there are some criticisms around, but when it comes to films, imported, translated books and so on, there are only peacock words, and people are getting used to it. And I sometimes write a comment on films and so on, and there I have to use my own share of peacock words, and that's because that is a status quo, that is the market, and there are not rotten tomatoes. There are no harsh criticism of any work, and everything when it comes to imported works, films and books, and Japanese people do tend to use peacock words. So a particularly amusing example was this book, Lifespan. And this was an interesting book, and it helps us understand some aspects of longevity, anti-aging, and so on. But nobody is perfect, and this book is not perfect. But in Japan, this book was advertised, the translated version, the Japanese version of Lifespan, has been publicized as if it is a life-changing magic, which it's not. I mean, it's a useful piece of research, but it's not the end of the story. And you should know that. But in Japan's climate of peacock words, this book was praised out of proportions. And the same thing was true about this book on time by an Italian physicist. And I read it, and it is a really useful, good description of what the concept of time is in contemporary physics, but nothing more than that. I mean, so it's not a revolutionary book changing very foundation of the notion of time. But in Japan, it was advertised as if it was such a book. So, living in Japan, I'm used to these peacock words, and sometimes wonder, probably the Japanese might be treating themselves, including me, as children like 5-year-olds. And of course 5-year-olds need all the encouragement that they can get. And but when you're adult, you are supposed to be exposed to criticism and so on. But in Japan, this kind of harsh approach never existed, I think, and that's why the peacock words flourish. Anyway, that was my observation today as I was running through these wonderful part of nature. And for these great living entities, I don't think we need any peacock words.